Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India. On this day, November 4, 2021, Thursday, मैं सूरज सिंह सिविल इंजीनियर भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ। आज के दिन नवंबर 4, 2021 प्रातः 3:50 3:50 AM। दिवाली की शुभकामनाएं। आज दिवाली है, दिवाली का पर्व। इट शुड बी प्रॉस्परस फॉर यू। दिवाली, दीपावली, फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइट्स be peaceful for you, be corona free for you, and we have to think for pollution, greenhouse effect, carbon dioxide and methane elimination from environment। हम सबको दिवाली की शुभकामनाएं दे रहे हैं, आपको, पूरे विश्व को, भारत को, और जहाँ जहाँ भी लोग दिवाली को मानते हैं पूरे विश्व में, मेरी शुभकामनाएं सभी के साथ। विश्व के सभी 8 बिलियन लोगों को शुभकामनाएं। दिवाली का पर्व जो कि विश्व का पर्व है, लाइट्स को मनाया जाता है, इसको अच्छा समझा जाता है, और साथ में सीजनल चेंज। दिवाली आपको रास्ता दिखाए। इसमें कोई पटाखे की बात नहीं है, पटाखे ना चलाएं। फायरवर्क्स, प्लीज़ स्टॉप यूजिंग फायरवर्क्स बिकॉज इट एड्स टू पॉल्यूशन, it adds to carbon dioxide. We have to reduce contents of carbon dioxide and methane from our gases available in air. We have to think about that. It's a question of quality of life. It's good that you enjoy Diwali by just playing fireworks, but that's bad for everybody. Maybe you enjoy for a few seconds, but you have to suffer for many long durations, say for years. Air is full of carbon dioxide, now also methane, which is 80 times more dangerous than carbon dioxide. So we should worry about how shall we live in future. It's very difficult on this status that even in COP26 they fail to solve this problem. Somebody says we have to wait up to 2050 to reduce levels to keep temperature rise up to 1.5 degrees Celsius. While our country Bharat and many others say that up to 2070 we have to wait. I think we are going to commit suicide. In fact, हम आत्महत्या करने की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं आहिस्ता आहिस्ता। आत्महत्या ही है ये कि अपने आप को मारना, अपने आप को सांस ना लेने के रास्ते बनाना और दुनिया भर की बीमारियाँ आना। मेरा हिसाब से तो कोविड-19 भी एक इसी का रिजल्ट है। क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ ख़त्म हो चुकी है। वी हैव eliminated good life of quality that was granted as a boon, as a blessings, as a boon by God to us, to all citizens of this world. I am saying citizens of this world because I don't differentiate as far as pollution is concerned, environment is concerned. I don't differentiate between nations, among nations. World is one nation, world is one home, one family. We have to understand this, and that is what is engineering. Engineering teaches us, medical science teaches us that you are human being, you are one, you have to have all facilities, not because of nationality. ये राष्ट्रीयवाद की तरफ नहीं है कि आप भारत के हैं या आप पाकिस्तान के हैं या आप इंग्लैंड के हैं या यूके के हैं। हवा सबकी एक है। आप हवा जो लेते हैं वो कहाँ कहाँ से होकर आती है, वी डू नॉट नो। रेन कहाँ कहाँ से होकर आती है, वी डू नॉट नो। नो नीड ऑफ एनी वीज़ा परमिशन फॉर यूजिंग दिस एजेंसीज ऑफ नेचर। इन विश्व की एजेंसियों को यूज़ करने के लिए हमें किसी वीज़ा की ज़रूरत नहीं होती है। हमें सूरज की रोशनी सब जगह एक सी मिलती है। उसी तरह से यूनिवर्स हम सब के लिए एक सा काम करता है। देयरफॉर वी हैव टू थिंक इन ए यूनिफाइड वे, कीपिंग अपार्ट आवर इकोनॉमीज, कीपिंग अपार्ट आवर रिक्वायरमेंट्स। वी हैव टू थिंक दैट दीज आर ओरिजिनल एजेंसीज, दीज आर सपोज टू ह्यूमन काइंड। ये जो हमें सपोर्ट मिलती है भगवान की तरफ से, ऊपर वाले की तरफ से, ये सबके लिए एक है, और इसमें कोई धर्म बीच में नहीं आता है, कोई समाज बीच में नहीं आता है, कोई रेस बीच में नहीं आती है। यहाँ तक कि हम तो लेते हैं सपोर्ट, जानवर भी लेते हैं, पक्षी भी लेते हैं, सारे जीव जंतु जो इस विश्व में हैं, इस सौरमंडल में हैं, वो सब लेते हैं। देयरफॉर वी हैव टू रिस्पेक्ट दिस, सेलिब्रेट दिवाली, बट नॉट टू स्पॉइल आवर फ्यूचर। आवर फ्यूचर इज़ फॉर अस, फॉर आवर किड्स, फॉर आवर टाइम्स, फॉर दोज जनरेशंस टू कम। We have done very bad for them, particularly in last decades. We have spoiled air, we have spoiled water, we have spoiled everything that was provided to us, delivered to us by nature freely, without charging any bill. Even then we did not care for that, so we have to take care of this. I have seen everybody uses a car, one person one car. It's very bad for quality of life. You just crowd roads are blocked, and we waste petroleum, we waste all fuels that we get from nature, and then we can say we produce carbon dioxide, we produce poisonous gases, we release them into air, and then we blame nature, we have raised temperature of world, but we don't control ourselves. Why don't we control ourselves? That's a question mark. क्या हम अपने ऊपर नियंत्रण नहीं कर सकते हैं? ये बात सोचने की है. हम क्यों नहीं नियंत्रण कर सकते हैं? हम क्यों इतना लंबा सोचते हैं? क्यों सोचते हैं? Why we think about 2050 and 2070? Why don't you control now? That's the point here. Some youth in other parts of the world like Switzerland, Greta Scott says, she remained angry with this all 200 heads of state, that they are talking nonsense, and that's true. I don't believe in politicians. In fact, politicians think only for votes to remain in power, but we don't think to remain in power. We want to think, we want to know, we want to allow the good air for us, fresh air for us, good water for us, plastic-free world for us. We spoil knowingly about this pollution resource, that is plastic, which means methane or ethane or propane, whatever it is, and we blame. Millions of people have died because of pollution, and also I am sure somewhere there must exist relations between COVID-19 and pollution. Maybe in future we can know it, but till now nothing is available. No concrete data is available, no concrete information is available. You understand, since 2019 last quarter, COVID has been very active in all parts of world. 2020 created records, 2021 is creating records. You can see more than 2 crores people, I can say. Reports say about 50 lakhs or 5 lakhs, 50 lakhs or 5 million people have left their lives due to COVID, but I say this all wrong. It's maybe between 2 crore to 3 crore, possibly you can say 200 million to 300 million people have lost their lives due to COVID. And in Bharat, India itself, more than 25 lakhs of 2.5 million people have lost their lives. Though reports only say something which is wrong, I don't believe that, because reports can be fabricated, reports can be abused, but reality cannot be abused. रिपोर्ट गलत आ सकती हैं, समाचार गलत आ सकते हैं, लेकिन सच्चाई छुप नहीं सकती. आप जितना मर्जी कर लीजिए, सच्चाई यही है कि आज भी कोविड बड़ी तेज़ी से फैल रहा है. कोविड इज स्प्रेडिंग वेरी फास्ट all over world, and it's been very rapidly spreading in USA, in England, in Russia, in many other parts of Europe, in China itself. I think there is, of course, it is not uniformly spreading, or we can say news are not coming uniformly. In our country, they are not giving correct news. They are giving fake news. Still, more than 55% people have been waiting for test in our country. It is now around 2 years or quarter to 2 years that we have not been able to test our public first time. In total, we could not test that. What a great country we are. See, we have 130 crores people or 1300 million people, and in around 2 years, or you can say 20 months, we have not been able to test first time every citizen, and that's a pity. Means our governments, our public, our societies have been sleeping. They're not concerned. We have lost many lives, millions of people we have lost, and we are not serious yet. You can go and see, not only in our country but also in other countries as well. There has been egoistic dispute about wearing of mask or not wearing of mask, whether to wear or whether not to wear. And there is some politicized issue has been socialized and people are not. It's very simple, but it has been made very difficult. You can see in France, you can see in Russia, you can see in England, you can see wherever you go and see in our country. There's no one to check in our country. हमारे देश में कोई सोचने वाला भी नहीं है, कोई बोलने वाला भी नहीं है. Government doesn't speak, police doesn't speak, people don't speak. They are as if nothing is happening. Every day people are getting infected and reports do not come in. In England, I have been reading news, around 40,000, sometimes 35,000, sometimes 50,000 every day. Cases are coming in, reported in. In USA itself, more than, I can say 80,000, 90,000, or you can say 100,000 cases are reported every day. In Russia itself, I just read news of 40,000 people per day affected. It's in all other countries as well. Many countries like Sweden, like many other, Slovakia. And you can see what's happening in China itself now. China में क्या हो रहा है? Some states, some cities are under lockdown because of this. It's not question of local or uniformity. Question is that it is spreading. It is spreading indeed, and there has been no control. There has been complete failure on part of people. I think government can help people if people help themselves. Even if government doesn't help, I don't care. It's very simple that you have no answer. If public has no response to COVID-19, how to treat it, how to get off from this. But we have one alternative. We have one, you can say, option, that at least we can have prevention by wearing mask, if not everything else. But here I'm finding that 90 to 95% people have stopped using masks in our country. Means they don't understand because news do not pour in, and they have indirectly, or you can say by option, they have decided or they have understood that COVID-19 has left our country, and that's not right. COVID-19 never left this country. COVID-19 never left this world. And even if it happens, if it is available in USA or in England or elsewhere, there is complete probability that COVID can travel to any part of world, whatever time. And we have to be very serious about this issue, and that's what I can say. Especially when I thought of this Diwali, I thought why not to talk of again this precautionary measure we have to take. It's very simple, very simple, just to wear mask and keep worryless. Means we cannot even afford, we cannot even be habitual of wearing mask even if COVID-19 doesn't exist. It prevents you from pollution, it prevents you from dust, it prevents you from air flow when there is high wind breeze, which can bring whatever bad or good particles into your nose during breathing. You have to be clear about that. We should not make it an issue. It's not because government likes or doesn't like. I don't care for that. But we are above government. Health is wealth. If people don't have health, wealth is meaningless. Wealth cannot give you good life, cannot give you happiness, but health is at least a happiness for physical state. You have to be very clear about this, and that's why talk of quality, talk of safety is very important in this. COVID is very related to health. It's related to safety of our health and environment itself. When we say environment, means it is very complicated issue, very complex issue. Carbon dioxide levels are already high. Methane also is available in this capacity in aerospace, aerosphere. Of course, it's not quantity wise that much. Carbon dioxide levels should be reduced, and The people are planning around world, but I don't think that is a real one. They say one item, they say one thing and do another one, and that is ridiculous. Means people are not serious, and we should be serious, because first is quality of life. If quality of life is not to standards, or not to acceptable, or not to level where we feel placed, what do you mean by something else? Quality of work, quality of material, quality of product, quality of construction, and quality to understand quality. All these are very, very important issues, and that's the reason that in title of every talk I consider civil field engineering in every act of life. And of course engineers, professionals are very much responsible for quality requirements and quality applications, and of course these are related to life, these are related to designs and construction and methods, various methods, and of course contracts, etc. We are discussing here, which are very important part of life, without which life cannot move and should not move. So we are now on move to understand after these certifications that I have shown to you, which are of course very important from every viewpoint, and we have to be very serious about this issue, not because of हाँ अभी 4:10 4:10 हाँ तो देर से उठ रही है आजकल, तो क्या करूँगा, उठ जा 4:10 में. तो सो जाती है बार बार, कितनी बार उठवा लूँ, 4:15 उठा देता, 4:15 उठा देता मैं, ये तो बजे नहीं 4:15. Okay, my dear friends, I've shown you part of this file that's really like quality. What is quality? What do I understand by that? मैं क्या समझता हूँ quality क्या होती है? Quality समझना एक सेंटेंस का काम नहीं है. You cannot understand 1 minute means quality is long life. You have to understand throughout life what quality is. आप सारी ज़िंदगी काम कीजिए, लेकिन शायद तब भी आपको समझ ना आए कि क्वालिटी क्या होती, क्योंकि आप जब तक क्वालिटी डिफाइन नहीं की जाएगी, until it is defined, until it's provided to you, you cannot understand. क्वालिटी काम करके समझ आती है, वैसे नहीं आती है. जब तक आप काम नहीं करेंगे समझ नहीं आएगी. थ्योरेटिकल से क्वालिटी कुछ नहीं होता है. इफ यू जस्ट टॉक ऑफ क्वालिटी, यू टॉक ऑफ दिस इन थ्योरी, read specification, but until you do that, until you execute something, you cannot understand what's problem in that. Means when you do something, you can understand only what problems do we face. Means when you do face problems, we understand what problem is. जब तक आप काम नहीं करेंगे, आपको समझ नहीं आएगा काम में क्या प्रॉब्लम आती है, किस तरह की आती है. It's not only the work is done directly, means there is so much behind work. So organization is not behind work. Work cannot be done just by speaking. Means if I speak something, it doesn't mean I'm right because I think of speaking and I speak. But when I define something, we have to analyze it. As I say, analysis is very important. Analysis means हर बात को तोड़ के समझना. You have to understand everything. It's not easy. Once you have education, primary education, then you have other educations, higher education. Why we want primary education, why we call it primary level education, and why we call higher education, there is a difference in these two. We can say school education has primary education, then it is middle level education, and then it is secondary education. Why we call secondary higher level? I mean to say, when you are higher classes we call secondary, and when you are lower classes you are call it primary. What's after primary? We can say, means when we know nothing, we have to learn a lot. Means learning fundamentals and learning every basis and roots of some knowledge, some subject. That is primarily important. As far as mathematics is concerned, for example, you can take subjects of mathematics or arithmetic. Mathematics is very difficult subjects, we know, but until we learn 1 2 3 etc., countings or tables, we cannot understand. These are basics of mathematics, calculations, basics of calculations. And if even we could not understand 1 2 3 or 0 1, there would have been no, you can say, digital world. 0 1, as we can see, these digits are used for machine language. Same way, if we use primary education, which is very low profile but high profile in a sense that without getting knowledge of primary education, we cannot go to learn more at middle level or at secondary level or at engineering or medical level or higher level. Same is valid for quality. Quality, which is, you can say, has different world. I can say quality itself is a word. You can think of whole universe. How has it been performing since its time of development or its time of establishment? Which time we do not know, and we cannot know also. उस समय को हम नहीं जानते जब ये पूरा ब्रह्मांड बना होगा, हम नहीं जानते. ये कैसे बना होगा ये भी हम नहीं जानते, लेकिन इसमें क्वालिटी है, इसमें गुणवत्ता है. It has certain quality inbuilt, and also it has certain man-made or human-made dirty effect or impurities of within quality. Good quality has been putrefied, has been polluted by human. I also and you too are included within that dirty work. We have spoiled something fresh. We have spoiled something that was good for everyone, including non-humans, creatures. It's pity that human is very efficient in destroying, or you can say in detrimental, in making, you can say, deteriorate something good. Human is such a creature which can make bad from good. It's very difficult for human to make good from bad. We have made it certainly rubbish, unacceptable, but now it is compulsory, it is beyond human control that we can refresh air and we can refresh every pollutant to its original state where there were no pollutant existed. Same way, quality also can be defined. Quality can be good, it can be bad, it can be acceptable, it cannot be acceptable, it can be compromised, it cannot be compromised. It depends on how one thinks and works, what is demand and what is not demanded. Means everything has gone to a level somewhere at some profile created by economics, posed by economics. Economics and work have always been related. Without economic development plans, we cannot do anything. That's also true. But these all are based on requirements. Requirements, there can be no requirements and there can be all-time requirements. We have to realize this fact. There is no limit to requirements and requirements are unlimited as well. हमारी आवश्यकताएं क्या हैं, उनका कोई परिभाषा नहीं है. हम जितनी मर्जी आवश्यकताएं बढ़ा लें, जितनी मर्जी आवश्यकताएं कम कर लें, कभी ये खेल ख़त्म नहीं होगा. This game shall continue forever and it has been continued. आज हम क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या चाहते हैं, कल क्या होगा हम नहीं जानते. ये डेवलपमेंट है, ये विकास है, चलता रहेगा वो दुनिया में, पूरे विश्व में. जिस तरह से मोबाइल एक गेम बन गया है, एक भूख बन गई है. मोबाइल जिसके पास नहीं वो परेशान और मोबाइल जिसके पास है वो भी परेशान. इन बोथ केसेस ए पर्सन हैज़ चेंज्ड, human has changed all over the world, mobile into a madness. We use mobile as if we take water or we breathe. Without mobile, we cannot feel stable. This also happens in 95% cases. As if without mobile, we cannot live. Means we have used mobile as a symbol of quality, as a symbol of status, but now it's not more a symbol, it's like madness. That madness doesn't happen in quality world. Because of mobile, those manufacturers of mobile have become billionaires and trillionaires, just like with computers, likewise other facilities. Money and economy has become one criteria whether to promote something or not to promote something. Why quality has not been accepted as such? Even if you see, if you call interference or you call encroachment, everybody gets advertising messages through mobiles. Is mobile that purposeful? I think personally I don't accept that. Purpose of mobile is to talk to those people you want to talk to, and it's not for advertisement purpose, publicity purpose, but it is being abused and people have been suffering, but no one can take action because something is beyond control. Quality that should help you is not helping you. If I get all day calls from advertisers, then I waste my time, I waste my concentration on something. Or even if you are in hospital, you are somewhere else in graveyard or cremation ground, and you get publicity based mobile calls, certainly you feel very much upset. It happens. But because it is called abuse of system, abuse of facility, and people have been doing it, I you know what happens and what do I mean. Why I am stating this point here? Because it is a loss on quality. Same way we have losses elsewhere. You don't want to do something, but you unnecessarily are disturbed and interrupted, and you do not know what's going to happen, but it disturbs. I don't want to disturb profession, because in profession thinking is very important, analytical time is very important, and if we do not do that, we cannot understand anything in profession. Profession is not just a spelling, it's a domain, it's a destiny of everyone. Profession means advanced study for practical use. It doesn't mean theoretical study like where there is no meaning of that. If I conduct professional activity, this means it is economical activity, it is life activity. It's going to work and it shall give some result. That is important. There is a difference between professional education and non-professional education. Professional education has some meaning to life. It has relations to applications in life. Without relations to application, professional study does not mean anything. It's like other literary studies which can be studied, which can be understood, which can be which can be used for purpose of getting more and more academical certificates, but cannot be used for living beings for life. Engineering means how to make life better, how to make this world better, how to come out of problems, and if you understand problems, how to chart out solutions of those problems using natural resources, using technologies that we could learn and earn. These are very significant, and engineering is one such profession, medical is one such profession. These are two important professions. All time I say health is first. This means medical professional requirement is first. If one is not healthy, one is not having good health, how can we expect that person to do good? That's one point. We have to be very careful about that. Health is wealth is not my saying, it's life saying. Health is wealth. And if we accept this fact, health is wealth. Now what about wealth? Wealth is only a support to health, just like wealth is support to life. You cannot say, I am wealthy, I don't care for health. There no one can say, because health is number one criteria, wealth is also one criteria, but when we say what is other criteria, then character of a person comes into forefront. And character, I mean to say, various acts one performs in life, these can be covered under quality of a person's involvement in various activities in life. That point must be clearly understood. How a person conducts, how a person behaves, what is background of a person, what is current status of a person, how a person performs, how much one can care for works and for others and for life. All these points come into play when we can say character of a person. Though maybe people take it differently, I'm not talking of personal character, I'm talking of general character, character that is linked to people, that's not linked to personal life. I'm not talking of private life of a person, I'm talking of general life which is visible to everyone, public existence everywhere. how do you conduct? That's very important, and that has got certainly high degree of relevance to life, to others. My life and linkage of my life to others, it applies to everyone. It's of same power with everyone, because no one can remain in isolation. No one. You have to stay at least 60% of your time with others. Maybe you do not know them, but you know them through social relations, national relations. Therefore, quality of a person has also varying classifications. Same way, quality of materials, quality of works, and whatever we do has varying relations. As we discussed before, contracts. We discussed contracts, and which is very common domain of contracts with everyone. We were discussing about contracts because contracts have potential of high level. There is no activity in world which cannot be done by contract. If it's not direct contract, it would be indirect contract. And that's how you can say contract can be related to quality system. We can say contract is a medium of quality. It's not prime task. For example, we have some work. I want to do that work. Either I have to do that work myself, or I have to allow someone else to do that work. In both cases, I would come in contact with many people. If it's not artistic work, if it's not, non-professional work, in a work which is going to be used for people, that cannot be done without having some kind of contracts. Sales contract, purchase contract, services contract, design contracts, implementation contracts, or you can say whatever types of contracts. We have to use this philosophy, this power of contracts medium, and only then we can say there's a dependency factor. What percent of dependency we have to use, it depends on what sort of work we have. When I talk of quality, I talk of materials, I talk of products, I talk of manufacturing, I talk of industrial processes, I talk of construction activities, I talk of construction designs, construction work, all that. You check everywhere, you will find something like that. Even in medical profession, you will find same. So we say medical profession, but it is related to engineering as well. Medical equipment, medical supports, mechanical supports, gas supports, equipment supports, instrument supports, medicine support, pharmaceutical support. Likewise, of course, nothing is independent, nothing is isolated. Without x-rays, without other testing, you can say whatever testing is done for test report, no profession can move. Part of medical doctor is not 100%. Part of this equipment, this testing, etc., is I think more than 70%, 80%, and remaining parts in health services. Remaining parts go to workers, health professionals, I should say, and that's why they are honored all over the world. When we feel pain, we go to health workers, doctors, and then we get rid of that because of their contribution in medical world. So we can say development contribution, work contribution, health contribution, quality contribution, all these contributions are responsible for something which we get. Quality is never a separate item, never can be separate. You cannot say this is product, you use it, and this is separate product which is quality for previous product. this never happens. It never happens in fact. ये नहीं आप कह सकते कि देखिए ये प्रोडक्ट है, ये इसकी इस गुणवत्ता है, अलग से मैं दे रहा हूँ आपको, जितनी गुणवत्ता चाहिए आप यूज़ कर लेना, बाकी छोड़ देना। ऐसा तो नहीं होता है। और लाइफ में क्वालिटी जितनी ज़रूरी है आप समझते भी हैं। लाइफ में क्या आपका चरित्र है, आपका चरित्र जो लोगों के साथ है, मैं उसकी बात कर रहा हूँ, बिल्कुल भी आपके अपने चरित्र की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ। आपका चरित्र, आपका विश्वास, आपका लोगों के साथ मिलन, काम के बारे में। लाइफ में, इन लाइफ ऑफ एवरी कंट्री, abundance of your earnings, your money goes to development works. And when we say development works, this means construction works, manufacturing works, processing works. Whatever can we say, this item goes to them. I'm saying item, requirement. You can use whatever term as far as you understand that or can communicate that to someone else. As I said before also, communication and coordination are basis of records, are basis of understanding, are basis to, you can say, establish and understand links between two persons. Communication is that power which cannot be derecognized, and also not recognized because it is a must. Even if I don't recognize, it will not go away. And even if I recognize, it shall not stay. It doesn't matter. It depends. Communication is very important part in life, not only in engineering life, in every part of life. Generally, in 95% cases, communication is very weak. Very weak. We have to realize this fact also, weakness of communication. And because communication is very weak, means we just do not care for something very real, and we ignore that, thinking that this is not my part of job or this is not my responsibility. We take it in that way. And also we have to realize other facts, that without communication it's not possible. We communicate also, but without any chapter, without any, you can say, clear cut understanding. And of course, when communication is weak, its strength is not abundant, or you can say essential, it's not to required levels, then we cannot reap benefit of communication. Even if you communicate, other party may not communicate, may not respond to you. This also happens. Communication and coordination are very much related to each other. Communication free time and, you can say, audit time cannot match. If you cannot communicate freely, professionally, you cannot coordinate. And if you are unable to coordinate, you can say impact on expected results or expected products. There will be shortfall either in quantity of that one or on quality of that one, or you can say on integrity of that one product. I can and you can talk in communication for many hours, there is no issue. But here we are not here to define communication length, but importance of communication and coordination, because engineering is full of that. Engineering is full of communication, it is full of coordination. You will find on whatever section of engineering you do, it may be study in text, or it may be drawings or designs or work on site. And all sectors of planning, quantification, quality, everywhere you can say, everything is related to each other. And that is very important point to understand. If we cannot understand, we befool ourselves, thinking everything shall happen on its own, which can never happen. हम सोचते रहें कि हम सब संभाल लेंगे, अगर कुछ गलत भी हो गया तो ठीक हो जाएगा, अपने आप हो जाएगा, ऐसा कह के हम अपने आप को जिम्मेदारी से, उत्तरदायित्व से दूर भगाने की कोशिश करते हैं। वो गलत तो गलत है, काम तो आपको करना है, यू हैव टू वर्क, एंड व्हेन यू से यू हैव टू वर्क मीन्स यू हैव टू डू राइट वर्क. That is requirement of, you can say, urban or rural life. Rural life is very complicated, and urban life too is also very complicated. There is some difference in areas of urban life. You can say congestion of residences, congestion of people, and more facilities, while in rural life scenario is different. But backbone of society, backbone of food means what I'm talking of is life. Life cannot move without facilities, life cannot move without engineering sciences, and life cannot move without medical sciences, medical facilities. These are two primary requirements of society, and these cannot be measured in terms of earning. We cannot measure in that terms as far as science is concerned, engineering sciences are concerned. This is very different, and one should respect them. Even if you don't respect them, you cannot disregard them, because engineering goes with you everywhere. From morning till evening, you have to stay in world of engineering, or you have to use products of engineering in each and every case. Even while you sleep in some building, means you sleep only in engineering product. That's why my concern is that as engineers and others, we have to be little logical, that we have to respect advancement of science, we have to respect whatever we want to respect, to think of quality, to think of safety, before to think of whatever rooms I have or whatever family do you have. These points are very important when we talk of quality system. Quality system is not unknown, everybody knows it, because it's based on certain principles, international principles, but implementation of these is whose responsibility? It is our responsibility. That's very important point. Means even if you don't have job for time being, you are responsible for going to interview and get that done. That's very important point. When I say quality, quality is not a fiction, contract is not a fiction. When you say contract, means it is also said it includes quality. If you think that way, every engineer thinks that way, there will be no requirement of quality except in, you can say, small consideration. Contracts we have to deal with, and we have dealt with. There is no work which can be done without involvement of some contract somewhere, and that is true. That truth we have to accept, that fact we have to accept. Life is not what we think, life is beyond our imagination, life is beyond our calculations. What we think for today, for ourselves, maybe tomorrow we do not think that. Or maybe after 6 months we think something else. So life moves on its own speed. It cannot move otherwise. Therefore, we have to keep our communication very high level, and also coordination much competent. excessively competent, because without coordination and communication we cannot finalize when we deal with others. As an individual only, maybe I do not use that extent as used in daytime or duty time. Therefore, we have to be little practical, little advancement person, advanced person, as it said, profession means you learn advancement on every discipline so that you become ghost. Contracts, I was actually just to let you understand, contract is a way, how to do a work. And particularly when we talk of silver, or you can say design and contract, that is very much true, because we design ourselves as a contractor personal. As contractor personal, we design ourselves. It's approved by someone else, engineer, on behalf of owner, and then we carry out, you can say, implement that part of work which has been approved. It should comply with all requirements, and before that we should not depend on, if say this public transport which complies with requirements, and if they recruit people like that, the requirement would fall. Means if we use same people who did bad work, it will be bad. If you teach them, this will be good. It's very, very important and very significant for sites. Now, what we say, what is employers? What is employer? In contracts, employer means owner of that project. Employer, because contract system is employed, and contract conditions are employed. For work, technology is employed, natural resources are employed. All these are employing engagements. And we say, okay, design is available, we have to work out, and we have to do it after applications of design of proposals are approved. Then we have to deal with many contracting related personnel. That is also true. We cannot just kick off, we cannot just shed away with such requirements. Contracts, and that is EPC, which we call engineering procurement contracts, engineering procurement and construction contracts, where all works activities are done on contract. Contract is a document, that is true, but how does it matter? That's a question mark. This question mark is that it's not baby game of profession. It's not game of, again I say, sports. It's professional sport, means it's a sport that impacts your life, not in cricket or football stage or conditional life, but it impacts our life for long run. I usually repeat that product of construction shall be used by we people even we die. Our military shall use, or public shall use. It happens. It's also true. Now, how do we relate ourselves on contract? As I said, there are two parties on contract. It may be construction contract or EPC, and there may be other parties within those two parties. We have one party that's called employer, whose name is already fixed everywhere. Now, when we come to contracts, it's very significant part जब हम ठेके पे आते हैं, ठेके की बात करते हैं, ठेकेदारी की बात करते हैं, इंजीनियरिंग की बात करते हैं, उसमें बहुत कुछ आ जाता है। कुछ लोग तो यही सोचते हैं भाई ठेकेदारी है, चोरी करता होगा, गलत करता होगा, हेरा फेरी करता होगा। सोच ऐसी बन चुकी है भी। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा लोग ऐसे नहीं होंगे, अच्छे बुरे दोनों होते हैं। और जहाँ लालच और ग्रीड है, avarice है, we can say in English language that avarice is very bad for every activity. Employer has some target, has some ambition that this project be fully constructed, and then I would use it for my business, for my commerce, for which there is another person who is involved in sale of that, or promotion of that. Now, when I say it is human or it is national, who can use our country? Life is not what we think is. When we think of professional life, it's entirely different than your personal life. Professional life is for work, it is for profession, it's for building, it's for others. Contract is something you have to learn. Contract is very vast domain in engineering. I cannot take contract separately than field of engineering, and contract engineering is very powerful if you can understand contract. Contract means I have to do work and you have to do your work. Employer administers. Employer cannot do itself. That is the only reason that contract has been given. It has been given to someone. And if employer can do itself, why shall contract be charted out? There is a deficiency with employer, which employer buys, and that buy is through contract. Contractor is a medium here, though there is no material in that, but it's kind of slab, very thin slab, where people can confer with each other, write to each other. It happens. And those papers we send out, we receive through contracts. Life teaches us a lot, and contract too teaches every engineer a lot. Contract teaches every contractor a lot, because once you are awarded a contract, you are starting your risk. That person who awarded you contract, that has list only for a couple of days within that date. And this couple of days I am so giving you because of information. Conflict on contract is very easy to come in, and that conflict we have to avoid. I'm not saying directly that I have to go to last clause of these conditions, last article. No. If we think in advance how to handle every situation, we won't face that situation in fact. And that's where risks involved, we can say risks are involved. And if we understand those risks, we can say, okay, this of course there's a risk, but I have capacity to contain that risk. That happens. If we can understand this point, there should be no, we can say, disputes on contracts, and contract runs smoothly. But it is very very rare, very very rare. वी वांट टू रन स्मूथ, हम सीधी तरह से चलना चाहते हैं ठेके पे। ठेकेदार भी यही चाहता है, इंजीनियर भी यही चाहता है, और जिसके लिए ठेका किया गया वो भी यही चाहता है। चाहना और करना अलग बात है। एक्सप्रेशन बाय टंग एंड एक्सप्रेशन इन वर्क आर डिफरेंट। आप वर्क की बात मत कीजिए, सब ठीक है। जब ऐसा टाइम आ जाए लाइफ में, सुनना लोग बंद कर दें। Again I say and I remind that contract is a responsibility. It is a perfect responsibility. एक ऐसी जिम्मेदारी जो आपको हर हालत में करनी पड़ेगी। ठेके का मतलब यही होता है। करार है आपका दो पार्टियों का, एक पेपर पे करार किया आपने और उसको विटनेस भी किया किसी अच्छे आदमी ने। It's very important point. Very important point and point to understand. एम्प्लॉयर क्या चाहता है? एम्प्लॉयर चाहता है उसका काम अच्छी तरह से हो जाए, समय में हो जाए, कॉस्ट ना बढ़े उस पर, और वो उसको अच्छी तरह से यूज़ कर पाए या उसको आगे किसी को दे पाए। एम्प्लॉयर इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं चाहता है। हाँ, वो चाहता है उसमें कोई नुकसान ना करे। आपने देखा होगा छोटे छोटे मकानों में मेरे चाहने से क्या काम हो जाएगा? नहीं। जब तक हम कोशिश नहीं करेंगे अच्छी तरह से काम करने की, काम नहीं होगा। और वो एम्प्लॉयर का नहीं है अकेले काम, उसमें कॉन्ट्रैक्टर भी आता है, ठेकेदार के इंजीनियर भी आते हैं, दूसरे लोग भी आते हैं। जब सब मिलकर एक साथ काम करेंगे तो काम हो जाएगा। When everybody works together in a team with dedication, with full you can say full approach, full considerations, you may say that work can be done. अपनी अपनी ड्यूटी, अपना अपना काम, everybody has to understand its duty, its work, its responsibility, or otherwise, even contract can be endangered, it can be jeopardized. When I say jeopardized, it means something, it means very specific. Responsibility of employer is to make payment when it is due, and responsibility of employer is also that it has to supervise directly or through someone else whole works and each and every activity, only not by speech but also by papers or by testing. हम क्या कह रहे हैं? Employer's representative means actually it's none other than engineer. It may be employer's representative, it may be contractor's representative, it may represent whosoever, because contractor is by name and employers also by name, but they are not probably specialist in administration of contract, which is job of engineers, which is, you can say, job, and we have to do that job. I'm not stressing it, but it is a requirement, because contractor is paid lump sum price or whatever price, whatever way. That price is very, it's money, and it is paid for work done, and that work done means it should be done. It should be done according to quality requirement, according to standards which meets every requirement. आपका काम ये बताए कि मैं अच्छा हुआ हूँ, मेरे अंदर क्वालिटी है, मेरे परफॉर्मेंस देखिए, तो आपको समझ आएगा. इसलिए हम कहते हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हो या एम्प्लॉयर हो, दोनों एक ही हैं काम करने के लिए. ठीक है, काम कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने करके देना है एम्प्लॉयर को, और एम्प्लॉयर ने उसको यूज़ करना है, जैसे भी करे. रिश्ता वहाँ ख़त्म हो जाना चाहिए. It must end at that point. But does it end? That's one point. Here we say employer shall appoint employer's representative who accept as otherwise stated in these conditions be deemed to act on employer's behalf under contract. Employer's representative shall be vested with, and unless and until employer notifies contractor otherwise, shall be deemed to have full authority of employer under terms, under contract except in respect of termination by employer. एम्प्लॉयर का जो भी आदमी साइट पर है, इंजीनियर है, मैनेजर है, जो भी है, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है काम को देखे, एम्प्लॉयर के बिहाफ पे हर चीज़ देखे, सही है काम, गलत है काम, टेक्निकल काम, इंटरनेशनल काम, नॉन टेक्निकल काम. मैं जब इंटरनेशनल काम कहता हूँ तो इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड से. ड्यूटी क्या है? Employer's representative, or if a legal entity, natural person appointed to act on its behalf. What is that? Carry out duties assigned to representative and exercise authority delegated to representative by employer. जो भी अधिकार उसको मिले हैं, एम्प्लॉयर ने दिए हैं, उनको एक्सरसाइज करे. बी कॉम्पिटेंट टू कैरी आउट दिस ड्यूटीज एंड एक्सरसाइज दिस अथॉरिटी. उसके लिए वो क्षमता भी होनी चाहिए उस एम्प्लॉय में, उस रिप्रेजेंटेटिव में, कि जो भी काम दिया गया है, उसमें जो भी ड्यूटी है, उसमें कैसे ड्यूटी करनी है, सब माना, वो सब होगा. Be competent to carry out these duties and exercise this authority. Act as a skilled professional. Be fluent in ruling language defined in law and language. When employer's representative is legal entity, employer's representative shall give a notice to parties of natural person or replacement appointed and authorized to act on its behalf. Authority shall not take effect until this is notified by both, and these notices are received by both parties. Employer's representative shall similarly give a notice of any revocation of such authority. Employer wishes, if employer wishes, if employer wishes to replace any person appointed as employer's representative, if employer wishes to replace whatever person appointed as employer's representative, employer shall not less than 14 days before intended date of replacement give a notice to engineer, give a notice to contractor of replacement, name, address, and now employer shall not replace employer's representative with a person where a legal entity, whether a legal entity or a natural person against whom contractor has raised reasonable objection by a notice under this subclause. अगर ठेकेदार कहते हैं भाई ये आदमी जो आप दे रहे हैं, ला रहे हैं आपके रिप्रेजेंटेशन के लिए, ये मेरे हिसाब से ठीक नहीं है, उसके रीज़न देता है और वो वैलिड रीज़न देता है, तो भी क्वेश्चन आता है. अदर एम्प्लॉयर्स पर्सनल, एम्प्लॉयर के बहुत लोग हैं काम करने वाले, उनका क्या रिलेशन है. एक तो ये रिलेशन हमने पढ़ लिया कि एम्प्लॉयर्स के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव से क्या रिलेशन है, वो भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है. हमारा रिलेशन तो होना चाहिए. एम्प्लॉयर का पर्सनल से क्या रिलेशन होना चाहिए, जो उसके पास काम करेंगे वो पर्सनल एम्प्लॉय होंगे या रेगुलर होंगे, जैसे भी हों, या कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में होंगे. एम्प्लॉयर और एम्प्लॉयज representative may from time to time assign duties and delegate authority to assistants and may also revoke such assignment or delegation. Employer or employee representative may from time to time assign duties and delegate authority to assistants and may also revoke such assignment or delegation by giving a notice to contractor of name, assigned duties and delegated authority of assistant. Assignment, delegation or revocation shall not be effective until notice has been received by contractor. However, employer's representative shall not delegate its authority to act under agreement or determination or under got it. It says employers or employer's representative may from time to time assign duties and delegate authority to assistants and may also revoke such assignment. एम्प्लॉयर अपने एम्प्लॉइज़ को अथॉरिटी दे सकता है, एम्प्लॉयर का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव भी अथॉरिटी दे सकता है दूसरे एम्प्लॉइज़ को जब भी ज़रूरत पड़े तो, और उसको वापस भी ले सकता है. सिंपल सी बात है. उसका नोटिस आपको देना पड़ेगा एम्प्लॉयर को या जो भी उसने डिफाइंड है उसको. However, employer represent shall not delegate authority to decide about agreement or determination or notice to correct. Assistant shall be suitably qualified. Assistant shall be suitably qualified natural persons who are competent to carry out these duties and exercise this authority, and who are fluent in language for communications defined in law and language. जो भी असिस्टेंट होंगे उनके पास एजुकेशन होगी और वह एजुकेशन और एक्सपीरियंस के काम भी कर रहे होंगे. You understand the point? Delegated persons. All persons, including employer's representative and assistants, to whom duties have been assigned or authority has been delegated by a notice of delegation under employer's representative clause or other employees' personnel, shall only be authorized to issue instructions and communications and or to give notices to contractor to extent defined by notice of delegation. जो भी डेलीगेशन के पावर में लिखा है, कागज में लिखा है, उस सूचना में लिखा है, अथॉरिटी में लिखा है, उतना ही आप कर सकेंगे, उससे ज़्यादा आप नहीं कर सकेंगे. Any acceptance, whatever acceptance you can say, whatever acceptance, agreement, approval, check, certificate, comment, consent, disapproval, examination, inspection, instruction, notices, no objection, records of meeting, permission, proposal, record, reply, report, request, review, test, request. You can say any acceptance, agreement, approval, check, certificate, comment, consent, disapproval, examination, inspection, instruction, notice, no objection, record of meeting, permission, proposal, record, reply, report, request, review, test, valuation or similar act, including absence of whatever such act by a delegated person in accordance with notice of delegation, shall have same effect as though act had been an act of employer. जो भी काम आपका डेलीगेट करेगा, जिसको आपने शक्ति दी है, कोई भी काम को मान लेगा, जिसमें आते हैं किसी भी काम को मानना, अप्रूव करना, एग्री करना, चेक करना, जो भी उसने किया काम, टेक्निकल काम में जो भी किया उसने, वो अगर फर्श पे डालेगा, फर्श उससे स्पॉइल होता है या नहीं होता है, ये आपको देखना है. उसकी ड्यूटी में आता है, बल्कि आपकी ड्यूटी में आता है. उसको डेलीगेशन है, लेकिन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपकी है. So we can again treat this because this is very important. Delegated persons. आसान तो बात नहीं है. एक मिनट प्लीज, थोड़ा ठंड लग रहा है. Let me bring some blanket. ऐसे बैठ यहाँ पे क्या करेंगे यार, थोड़ा ठंड हो रहा था तो आई गॉट सम ब्लैंकेट हॉट। ओके, सभी डेलीगेट पर्सन की बात हो गई। डेलीगेट क्या करेगा? Responsibility of whatever delegate does, it's owned by employer. This is very clear. Again I repeat for clearance, for clarification, all persons including employer's representative and assistants to whom duties have been assigned or authority has been delegated by a notice of delegation under employer's representative or employer's personal, other employer's personal, as case may be, shall only be authorized to issue instructions and communications, to give notices to contractor to extent defined by notice of delegation. उस नोटिस ऑफ डेलीगेशन में जो भी लिखा है, जो भी शक्ति है, उतना ही वो काम कर सकेंगे। अथॉरिटी का नोटिस देने का, जो भी काम करने का, उसमें जो भी होगा, एनी वॉट एवर एक्सेप्टेंस, जो भी वो करेंगे, एक्सेप्ट करेंगे, एग्री करेंगे, अप्रूव करेंगे, चेक करेंगे, प्रमाण करेंगे, प्रमाणित कमेंट देंगे, कॉन्सेंट देंगे, डिसअप्रूवल देंगे, जांच करेंगे, मुआयना करेंगे, और हिदायत देंगे, सूचना देंगे या नो ऑब्जेक्शन देंगे, मीटिंग में परमिशन देंगे या कोई चीज़ को प्रपोज करेंगे, रिकॉर्ड करेंगे, उत्तर देंगे, रिपोर्ट करेंगे, रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे, रिव्यू करेंगे, टेस्ट करेंगे और वैल्यूएशन करेंगे, या ऐसा कोई भी काम करेंगे जिसमें इंक्लूडिंग एब्सेंस ऑफ एनी सच एक्ट, या जिसमें जो भी काम नहीं करेंगे, करना है नहीं करेंगे, और जो भी वो डेलीगेटेड पर्सन करेगा इन अकॉर्डेंस विद नोटिस ऑफ डेलीगेशन, उसका वही इफेक्ट होगा जो एम्प्लॉयर करता। इससे इंग्लिश में दे दीजिए। यू कैन से says that or to give notice to contractor to extent defined by contract by notice of delegation, whatever acceptance, agreement, approval, check, certificate, comment, consent, disapproval, examination, inspection, instruction, notice, no objection, records of meeting, permission, proposal, record, reply, report, request, review, test, valuation, or similar act, including absence of whatever such act by a delegated person in accordance with notice of delegation, shall have same meaning, same effect as though act had been an act of employer. However, unless otherwise stated in delegated person's communication relating to such act, it shall not relieve contractor from whatever duty. Unless otherwise stated in delegated person's communication relating to such act, it shall not relieve contractor from whatever duty or any duty, obligation or responsibility contractor has under or in connection with contract. If contractor questions about any instruction, communication or notice given by a delegated person, contractor may, by giving a notice, refer matter to employer. Employer shall be deemed to have confirmed such instruction, communication or notice if employer does not respond within 7 days after receiving contractor's notice, reversing or varying delegated person's instruction, communication or notice. इसमें क्या कहता है वो? कॉन्ट्रैक्टर कि काम ख़त्म नहीं होगा, उसकी जिम्मेदारी ख़त्म नहीं होगी, जैसा कि डेलीगेटेड पर्सन की कम्युनिकेशन में लिखा है। अगर उसमें ये कहा गया है अनलेस अदरवाइज स्टेटेड इन डेलीगेटेड पर्सन कम्युनिकेशन रिलेटिंग टू सच एक्ट, इट शैल नॉट रिलीव कॉन्ट्रैक्टर फ्रॉम एनी ड्यूटी, ऑब्लिगेशन, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हैज टेकन अंडर अनकंडीशनल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। जो भी ठेके में काम दिया गया है वो जिम्मेदारी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर की है, जब तक इसमें स्पेसिफिकली लिखा ना जाए। और अगर किसी क्वेश्चन पर, किसी बात पे ठेकेदार क्वेश्चन करता है, किसी इंस्ट्रक्शन पे जो भी डेलीगेट ने दी है उसको पसंद नहीं है, तो एम्प्लॉयर को लिख सकता है, भाई समझाइए, इसमें हमें ये कहा गया है, आप ऐसा कीजिए, लेकिन हमें डाउट है इसमें। और अगर एम्प्लॉयर 7 दिन में जवाब नहीं देता है, इसका मतलब यह है कि एम्प्लॉयर इस बात को मानता है, और अगर जवाब देता है तो ठीक है, उस जैसा जवाब देगा वैसा करेंगे। लेकिन अगर 7 दिन तक जवाब नहीं आता है, उत्तर नहीं आता है एम्प्लॉयर का, इसका मतलब ये है कि वो उसको मानता है। एम्प्लॉयर shall be deemed to have confirmed such instruction, communication or notice if employer does not respond within 7 days after receiving contractor's notice, reversing or varying delegated person's instruction, communication or notice। इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्या है? अब थोड़ा इंस्ट्रक्शंस को भी समझ लें, आखिर इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं क्या। एम्प्लॉयर में थ्रू एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, सो मालिक जो है अपने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के थ्रू, अपने एम्प्लॉयर में थ्रू एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव or an assistant as stated below, issue to contractor at whatever time instructions which may be necessary for execution of works, all in accordance with contract. Each instruction shall state obligations to which it relates and subclause in which obligations are specified. This is called instruction. I repeat, employer may through employer's representative, or an assistant, employer अपने डेलीगेट के हिसाब से, अपने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के हिसाब से, या उसके असिस्टेंट के हिसाब से, उसके थ्रू ठेकेदार को इंस्ट्रक्शन इशू कर सकता है जो ज़रूरी हो काम के लिए, और जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अंदर प्रोविज़न हो जिसका, उसके हिसाब से, उसकी रेफरेंस से इशू की जा सकती है। एम्प्लॉयर में थ्रू एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव और असिस्टेंट एज स्टेटेड बिलो, इशू टू कॉन्ट्रैक्टर एट व्हाटएवर टाइम इंस्ट्रक्शंस which may be necessary for execution of works, all in accordance with contract. Each instruction shall state obligations to which it relates and subclause or other terms of contract in which obligations are specified. Contractor shall only take instructions from employer's representative or an assistant to whom appropriate authority to give instruction has been delegated by a notice under employer's personal। ठेकेदार उसी इंस्ट्रक्शन को लेगा जो एम्प्लॉयर का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव देगा या उसका असिस्टेंट देगा, और उसको अथॉरिटी है ऐसा करने की उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में या उस नोटिस में जो कि उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में इशू हुआ है। Subject to following provisions of subclause, contractor shall comply with instructions given by employer's representative or delegated assistant on whatever matter related to contract। ठेकेदार का फ़र्ज़ होगा, ड्यूटी होगी कि इंस्ट्रक्शंस जो उसको कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअली मिली हैं एम्प्लॉयर के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव से या उसके असिस्टेंट से, उनको लागू करे। If an instruction states that it constitutes a variation variation by instruction shall apply. If an instruction states that it constitutes a variation, variation by instruction shall apply. And if it's not stated, and contractor considers that instruction constitutes a variation or involves work that is already कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में ये काम नहीं है लेकिन ये करना चाहते हैं और ये नियमित रूप से ठीक नहीं है, ये सेफ्टी खराब करेगी या ये टेक्निकली असंभव है. Constitutes if not stated and contractor considers that instruction constitutes a variation or involves work that is already part of an existing variation, or it does not comply with applicable laws or reduce safety of works or is technically impossible, contractor shall immediately and before commencing whatever work related to that instruction give a notice to employer with reasons. If employer does not respond within 7 days or such other time as may be agreed between both parties, after receiving this notice, by giving a notice confirming, reversing or varying instruction, employer shall be deemed to have revoked instruction. Employer shall be deemed to have revoked instruction. Otherwise, contractor shall comply with and be bound by terms of employer's response. I read again, this is a little complication. Contractor shall immediately and before commencing that work related to that instruction give a notice to employer, giving reasons. If employer does not respond within 7 days after receiving this notice, by giving a notice confirming, reversing or varying instruction, employer shall be deemed to have revoked instruction. It says, if employer does not respond within 7 days or such other time as may be agreed between parties, after receiving this notice, by giving a notice confirming, reversing or varying instruction, employer shall be deemed to have revoked instruction. Otherwise, contractor shall comply with and be bound by terms of employer's response. Agreement or determination. Very important point. Agreement or determination is very much contractual term, and we should be very clear about what we are talking here. When carrying out duties under contract on this clause, employer's representative shall not be deemed to act for employer, and that is agreement or determination. When carrying out duties, you can say employer's representative duties under this subclause, employer's representative shall not be deemed to act for employer. Whenever these conditions provide that employer's representative shall proceed under this subclause to agree or determine any matter of claim, following procedures shall apply. First is, when carrying out duty under this clause, employer's representative shall not be deemed to act for employer. whenever these conditions provide that employer representative shall proceed under this subclause to agree or determine what any matter claim, this procedure which we are going to discuss shall apply. Consultation to reach agreement. Number one is consultation to reach agreement. Employer's representative shall consult with both parties jointly and separately and encourage discussion between both parties in an endeavor to reach agreement. Employer's representative shall commence such consultation promptly to allow adequate time to comply with time limit for agreement under time limits, unless otherwise proposed by employer's representative and agreed by parties. Employer's representative shall provide both parties with a record of consultation. If agreement is achieved within time limit for agreement under time limit clause, employer's representative shall give a notice to both parties of agreement, which agreement shall be signed by both parties. This notice shall state that it is a notice of parties' agreement and shall include a copy of agreement if no agreement is achieved within time limit for agreement under time limits clause, or both parties advise employer's representative that no agreement can be achieved within this time limit, whichever is earlier, employer's representative shall give a notice to parties accordingly and immediately proceed under employer's representative determination. अगर दोनों पार्टीज इस बात को नहीं मानती हैं या कायम टाफी कि हम इस बात को नहीं मानते जो आप कह रहे हैं, हम इस एग्रीमेंट पर नहीं पहुंच सकते, हम नहीं जानते इस टाइम में होगा नहीं होगा, लेकिन हम इस बात को नहीं मानने पर तैयार हैं, उसके बाद एम्प्लॉयर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव क्या करे? एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव की डिटर्मिनेशन की तैयारी करे. एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव shall make a fair determination of matter or claim in accordance with contract, taking due regard of all relevant circumstances. Employer's representative shall make a fair determination of matter or claim in accordance with contract, टेक ड्यू रिगार्ड ऑफ ऑल रेलेवेंट सर्कमस्टेंसेस. एम्प्लॉयर का जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है वो अपना काम करेगा, डिटर्मिनेशन जो कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के हिसाब से होनी चाहिए बिल्कुल सही तरीके से, और जो भी क्लेम बनता हो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के हिसाब से उसकी भावना का ध्यान रखते हुए, उसके प्रोविजंस का ध्यान रखते हुए, उन सर्कमस्टेंसेस का ध्यान रखते हुए वो अपनी डिटर्मिनेशन की तैयारी करेगा और डिटरमाइन करेगा. And within time limits for determination, under time limits clause, employer's representative shall give a notice to both parties, that is employer and contractor, about whatever determinations have been worked out. This notice shall state that it's a notice of employer's representative's determination and shall describe determination in detail with reasons and detailed supporting particulars. अपनी तैयारी करने के बाद वो एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव उस डिटर्मिनेशन की सूचना दोनों को देगा, दोनों को मतलब एम्प्लॉयर को और ठेकेदार को कि ये डिटर्मिनेशन दी है मेरे द्वारा और इसमें सारी डिटेल मैं दे रहा हूँ, और उसको टाइम लिमिट के क्लॉज के हिसाब से जितना भी टाइम परमिटेड है उसको देगा. सो इट्स सेड दैट एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव shall make a fair determination of matter of claim in accordance with contract, taking due regard to all relevant circumstances within time limit for determination. Under this time limit clause, employer's representative shall give a notice to both parties of determination. This notice shall state that it is a notice of employer's representative determination and shall describe determination in details with reasons and detailed supporting particulars. Time limit. Time limit, important item. Employer's representative shall give notice of agreement. Employer's representative shall give notice of agreement if agreement is achieved within 42 days or within such other time limit as may be proposed by employer's representative and agreed by both parties. Time limit for agreement in these cases, in these conditions. After, in case of matter to be agreed or determined, not a claim, date of commencement of time limit for agreement as stated in applicable conditions. In case of claim under subparagraph, that is claims, date employer's representative receives a notice under claiming party, under from a claiming party clause, whatever it is. In case of claim under subparagraph of this clause, claims, date of employer's representative receives a fully detailed claim under fully detailed claim clause. In case of a claim under claims of continuing effect, an interim or final fully detailed claim as case may be. Employer's representative shall give notice of his determination within 42 days or within such other time limit as may be proposed by employer's representative and agreed by both parties. Time limit for determination in these conditions after date corresponding to obligation to proceed under last paragraph. Consultation to reach agreement. If employer's representative does not give notice of agreement to determination within relevant time limit, in case of a claim, employer's representative shall be deemed to have given a determination rejecting claim, or in case of matter of to be agreed or determined issue, matter shall be deemed to be a dispute which may be referred to by either party to DAAB for its decision under obtaining DAAB's decision without need for NOD or dissatisfaction with employer's representative determination and paragraph reference to dispute to DAB shall not apply. What it says? It says two items in that. अगर एम्प्लॉयर्स के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के डिटर्मिनेशन के बारे में है, एग्रीमेंट हुआ नहीं हुआ उसके बारे में है, इसमें कहते हैं अगर 42 दिन में एम्प्लॉयर्स रिप्रेजेंटेटिव अपना डिटर्मिनेशन देगा और कोई और ऐसा टाइम लिमिट जो सब मिल के तय कर लें देगा, और अगर वो नहीं देता है अपने डिटर्मिनेशन उस एग्रीमेंट में उसके हिसाब से उस टाइम के अंदर, तो अगर ये क्लेम है वो क्लेम को रिजेक्ट माना जाएगा, और अगर क्लेम नहीं है कोई और चीज़ है उसको डिस्प्यूट माना जाएगा, या उसको डिस्प्यूट मान के आगे के लिए तैयारी डैप के पास भेजने की। इफेक्ट ऑफ एग्रीमेंट और डिटर्मिनेशन, प्रभाव उसके, इफेक्ट एग्रीमेंट का, डिटर्मिनेशन का। ईच एग्रीमेंट और डिटर्मिनेशन shall be binding on both parties. Each agreement or determination shall be binding on both parties unless and until corrected under this subclause, or in case of determination it is revised, that is disputes and arbitration. It says each agreement or determination shall be binding on both parties unless and until corrected under clause, in case of determination it is revised under clause disputes and arbitration. अगर एग्रीमेंट हो गई या डिटर्मिनेशन हो गई, दोनों पार्टी से बाइंडिंग है उस समय के लिए, बात के लिए नहीं। जब आर्बिट्रेशन या डिस्प्यूट्स में जाते हैं तो अलग बात है। If an agreement or determination concerns payment of an amount from one party to other party, contractor shall include such an amount in next statement, and employer shall include such an amount in next payment, interim payment, final payment, as case may be, that follows that statement. If within 14 days after giving or receiving employer's representatives notice of agreement or determination, an error of typographical or clerical or arithmetical nature is found by employer's representative, then he or she shall immediately advise parties accordingly, or by a party, then that party shall give a notice to other employer's representative stating that it is under subclause clearly identifying error. If employer's representative does not agree there was an error, shall immediately advise parties accordingly. Employer's representative shall within 7 days after finding error or after receiving a notice under subparagraph, as case may be, give a notice to both parties of corrected agreement or determination. Thereafter, corrected agreement or determination shall be treated as agreement or determination for purpose of these conditions. Dissatisfaction with employer's representative's determination. Dissatisfaction with employer's representative determination. If either party is dissatisfied with determination of employer's representative, जो भी डिटर्मिनेशन की है हमने, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ने, पहले हमने कहा कि नोटिस ऑफ एग्रीमेंट और डिसएग्रीमेंट दोनों अगर मान लिए जाते हैं डिटर्मिनेशन तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का हिस्सा आगे पेमेंट का, नहीं तो डिससेटिस्फैक्शन तो है ही। Dissatisfaction with the employer's representative. If either party is dissatisfied with determination of employer's representative, dissatisfied party may give NOD, notice of dissatisfaction. If either party is dissatisfied with the determination of employer's representative, dissatisfied party may give notice of dissatisfaction to other party with a copy of with a copy to employer's representative. This notice of determination or dissatisfaction, this notice of dissatisfaction shall state that it is a notice of dissatisfaction with employer's representative determination. That this is a notice of dissatisfaction with employer's representative's determination and shall set out reasons for dissatisfaction. Notice of dissatisfaction shall be given within 28 days after receiving employer's representative's notice of determination under employer's representative's determination clause, or if applicable, notice of corrective determination under effect of agreement or determination, or in case of deemed determination rejecting claim within 28 days after time limit for determination. Time limits. Thereafter, either party may proceed under obtaining DAP's decision. If no NOD is given, if no notice of dissatisfaction is given by either party within period of 28 days stated in subparagraph above, determination of employer's representative shall be deemed to have been accepted by both parties and be final and binding on them. If dissatisfied party is dissatisfied with one part of employer's representative's determination, this part shall be clearly identified in NOD. This part and any other part of determination that are affected by such parts. Let me please, so just hold please. Let me see, give me some time. can see if it is gone. It's gone, it's there, still there, no problem. Let's continue with this. We can assume this is still continuous, and we can continue on this, right? That what are we there? Okay, now we say we are talking of dissatisfaction. We are talking of contractors dissatisfaction, which is very important issue here. Contractor dissatisfaction we're talking of, and it says that if dissatisfied party is dissatisfied with only parts of employer's representative determination, that part shall be clearly identified on notice of dissatisfaction. This part or that part or whatever other part of determination that are affected by such parts or rely on such parts for completeness shall be deemed to be severable from remainder of determination, and remainder of determination shall become final and binding on both parties as if notice of determination had not been given. अगर जो पार्टी असंतुष्ट है वो नोटिस देती है कुछ हिस्से को, उस डिटर्मिनेशन के कुछ हिस्से को, या ये हिस्सा मैं नहीं मानता, उस हिस्से को या तो ठीक कीजिए या मैं इसको नहीं मानता, मैं डिसएग्रीमेंट में हूँ, उस केस में जो हिस्सा मान रहा है वो हो जाएगा, मान्य हो जाएगा। जो बाकी का हिस्सा है जो नहीं माना गया वो अलग रखा जाएगा, और जो माना गया है वो फाइनल एंड बाइंडिंग होगा दोनों के ऊपर। मीन्स जो वो ऑब्जेक्शन कर रहा है, जिस हिस्से को नहीं मान रहा है, वो हिस्सा डिस्प्यूट में रहेगा, बाकी जो माने हुए हिस्से हैं वो चलेंगे। वो दोनों पार्टीज के मानने के बाद डिस्प्यूट समाप्त। कह सकते हैं रिमाइंडर ऑफ डिटर्मिनेशन शैल बिकम फाइनल एंड बाइंडिंग ऑन बोथ पार्टीज as there was no NOD on those parties. In event that a party fails to comply with an agreement of parties under a final and binding determination of employer's representative, other party may, without prejudice to whatever other rights it may have, refer failure itself directly to arbitration under arbitration clause, in which case first and third paragraph failure to comply with DAF's decision shall apply to such reference in same manner as these paragraphs apply to final and binding decisions of DAF. एग्री करने के बाद भी अगर कोई पार्टी इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करती है उस डिसीजन को, तो सीधा रास्ता खुला है उस डैप के डिसीजन के बाद, या आप डैप में जा सकते हैं या आर्बिट्रेशन में जा सकते हैं। अगर आर्बिट्रेशन का डिसीजन है तो आर्बिट्रेशन में जाइए डैप के डिसीजन को अपील करने। Important meetings, very important part of contract process. Either party may require other party to attend a management meeting to discuss arrangements for future work or other matters in connection with execution of works. Either party, कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर है या ऑनर है, either party may require other party to attend a management meeting to discuss arrangements for future work and or other matters in connection with execution of works. Employers, other contractors, personnel of legally constituted public authorities and or private utility companies and or subcontractors may attend any such meeting or whatever such meeting if requested by either party. Employer shall keep a record of each management meeting and supply copies of record to those attending. At whatever such meeting and in record, responsibilities for whatever actions to be taken shall be in accordance with contract. इधर पार्टी, दोनों पार्टियों में से कोई भी पार्टी मीटिंग को अटेंड करेगी, कह सकेगी कि आप दूसरी पार्टी, कोई भी पार्टी दूसरी पार्टी को मीटिंग में बुलाए अटेंड करने के लिए कि आगे हमें क्या करना है, किस तरह से काम करना है, और ज़रूरत पड़े तो उनको भी बुलाया जा सकता है जो पब्लिक डोमेन में हैं, जो नियमित रूप से पब्लिक अथॉरिटीज़ हैं या प्राइवेट कंपनीज़ हैं या दूसरे सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स हैं। अगर कोई पार्टी ऐसा चाहती है तो उन सब के रिकॉर्ड रखे जाएं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के हिसाब से, उनके एक्शन लिए जाएं, उनके नाम दिए जाएं। ईदर पार्टी में रिक्वायर अदर पार्टी टू अटेंड ए मीटिंग which we call management meeting to discuss arrangements for future work. Arrangements for future work and or other matters in connection with execution of works. Employers, other contractors, personnel of legally constituted public authority and or private utility companies and or subcontractors may attend whatever such meeting if requested by either party. Employer shall keep a record of each such management meeting and supply copies of record to those attending. At every such meeting and in record, responsibilities for whatever actions to be taken shall be conducted in accordance with contract provisions. Contractor, जिसकी दुहाई हम दे रहे हैं, जिसके पे हम आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जो बहुत बदनाम भी है और बहुत नाम वाला भी है। किसी कंट्री में कॉन्ट्रैक्टर बहुत यूज़ होता है, किसी कंट्री में नहीं होता है। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर इज अ टर्म विच इज़ वेरी कॉमन इन मैनी कंट्रीज and contractor itself is very common for purpose of doing job. People see contractor working in physical way. They see by eyes people work, contractor works. And that's the reason that people believe in contractors rather than believing in theory or believing in facts, believing in technical work. But it's misconception. Contractor, what is contractor? We have defined what is expected of contractor in contract. It's also known, but yet still we want to discuss here formally. Contractor executes work. Contractors shall execute works in accordance with contract. When completed, works or section or major item of plant, if whatever, shall be fit for purpose for which these are intended, as defined and described in employer's requirements, or where no purposes are so defined and described fit for their ordinary purposes. ठेकेदार जो भी काम करेगा वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के हिसाब से करेगा, और जब वो काम कर चुकेगा, जो भी काम वो करेगा या जो भी हिस्सा वो करेगा उस पर्पस के लिए फिट होगा जिस पर्पस के लिए उसको कराया जा रहा है या उसकी परिभाषा की गई है या जैसा एम्प्लॉयर की रिक्वायरमेंट है। और अगर ऐसा परिभाषित नहीं है एम्प्लॉयर क्या चाहता है, तो जो भी उसका ऑर्डिनरी पर्पस होता है उसको वो सॉल्व करेगा, उसका काम उसको करेगा। वेरी raw definition or refined definition, or you can say deliverable definition. Contractor shall execute works in accordance with contract, and when this work is completed, this work shall be fit for purpose for which it was intended, and it was defined according to that it is done. Whatever is described according to that it is done, and whatever is requirement of employer it has been done. And if something is not defined, if nothing as such is defined, then whatever is ordinary function, whatever is ordinary purpose, that it shall meet requirement of. Now, contractors shall provide plant and spare parts. कॉन्ट्रैक्टर मशीन भी लगाएगा, मशीन भी देगा, उसके स्पेयर पार्ट्स भी देगा अगर ज़रूरत है तो. Contractor shall provide plant and spare parts if whatever is needed or required, and contractor's documents specified in employer's requirements. All contractor's personal goods, consumables, other items, other things and services, whether of a temporary nature or permanent nature, required to fulfill contractor's obligations under contract. Contractor shall provide plant and contractor's documents specified in requirements, and all contractors' personal goods, consumables, and other requirements and services, whether of temporary nature or permanent nature, required to fulfill the contractor's obligation under contract. वो मशीन देगा, स्पेयर पार्ट्स देगा, जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स के हिसाब से रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से होंगे, पर्सनल भी देगा, गुड्स भी देगा, कंज्यूमेबल्स भी देगा, और ज़रूरतें देगा, सर्विसेज देगा, सब कुछ देगा, चाहे टेम्पररी चाहे परमानेंट हो, तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के ऑब्लिगेशन को पूरा करते हैं. वर्क शैल इंक्लूड whatever work. Work shall include whatever work which is necessary. Delivered works shall include every activity which is necessary to satisfy employer's requirements and schedules or schedules, or is implied by contract. And all works which, although not mentioned in contract, what are necessary for stability or for completion or safe and proper operation of works. जो भी काम करके देगा उसमें सारी एक्टिविटीज़ होंगी, सारे काम होंगे जो आवश्यक हैं उस काम को पूरा करने के लिए, वो रिक्वायरमेंट्स के लिए आवश्यक हैं, शेड्यूल के आवश्यक हैं, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए आवश्यक हैं, या जो नहीं भी दिए हुए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में उनकी ज़रूरत पड़ेगी अगर वो काम चल रहा है करना है तो वो सारे काम उसमें होंगे। स्टेबिलिटी के लिए, काम के लिए, कंप्लीशन के लिए, सेफ्टी के लिए, ऑपरेशन के जो भी होता है। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट शैल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर एडिक्वेसी, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट शैल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल, contractor shall be responsible for adequacy, stability and safety of all contractors' operations and activities, of all methods of construction and of all works. Contractor shall be responsible for adequacy, stability and safety of contractors' operations and activities of all methods of construction and of all works. जिम्मेदार होगा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर सही काम के लिए, संतुलित काम के लिए, काम की सुरक्षा के लिए, काम के ऑपरेशन के लिए, उन सभी कामों के लिए जो एक्टिविटीज़ हैं और जो भी कंस्ट्रक्शन का तरीका अपनाया है। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट शैल व्हेनेवर रिक्वायर्ड बाय एम्प्लॉयर, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शैल Contractor shall, whenever required by employer, submit details of arrangements and methods which contractor proposes to adopt for execution of works. No significant alteration to these arrangements and methods shall be made without this alteration having been submitted to employer. Contractor shall, whenever required by employer, submit details of arrangements and methods which contractor proposes to adopt for execution of works. No significant alteration to these arrangements and methods shall be made without this alteration having been submitted to employer. जो भी मेथड आपने कहा हम करेंगे, जो भी अरेंजमेंट हमारे हैं, जो भी आपने कहा हम ऐसा करने जा रहे हैं इस काम को करने के लिए, उसमें आप कोई छेड़छाड़ नहीं करेंगे जब तक कि आप उसको सबमिट करके अप्रूवल ना ले लें दोबारा। परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी, कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल आइटम, कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल डाटा का हिस्सा, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट डाटा का हिस्सा। हम बात क्वालिटी की करते रहे हैं, हर चीज़ में ज़रूरी है, बहुत ज़रूरी है करना, समझना, नहीं तो बात गलत हो जाती है। ये मेल जो आपके सामने है, ज़रूरत पड़े तो आप इस पर लिखें। इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए सूरज SURAJ_engineer ANGINEER@yahoo.co.uk, या जो मैंने नहीं लिखे है उसमें SURAJSINGH सूरज सिंह PE सूरज सिंह PE @gmail.com बोल रहा हूँ, लिख लीजिए अगर लिखना है आपको। मैंने इसमें डालना ध्यान नहीं दिया, बाद में डाल दूँगा। और वही बात कि हमको रखना है समझ के एनालिसिस को, बहुत आवश्यक एनालिसिस, और यही हम कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के प्रोविजंस का एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं। दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग। Contractors shall obtain at its cost performance security to secure contractors' proper performance of contract in amount and currencies stated in contract data. If no amount is stated in contract data, दिस क्लॉज शैल नॉट अप्लाई। अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट डाटा में अमाउंट लिखा है परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी का या परफॉर्मेंस बॉन्ड का, तो वो सिक्योरिटी आपको देनी पड़ेगी एज ए कॉन्ट्रैक्टर थ्रू बैंक और थ्रू व्हाटएवर एल्स। बैंक की देनी है, किसकी देनी है, कौन से बैंक की देनी है, वो आपको करना पड़ेगा। और नहीं अगर लिखा है तो नहीं करना पड़ेगा। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शैल ऑब्टेन ए परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी टू सिक्योर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स प्रॉपर performance of contract in amount and currencies stated in contract data. If no amount is stated in contract data, this clause shall not apply. Contractor's obligations. Contractor shall deliver performance security to employer. Contractor shall deliver performance security to employer. Within 28 days after both parties have signed contract agreement. Performance security shall be issued by an entity and from within a country or other jurisdiction to which employer gives consent, and shall be in form annexed to particular conditions or in another form agreed by employer, but such consent or agreement shall not relieve contractor from whatever obligation under this provision. 28 दिन के अंदर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन होने के बाद आपको ये कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को ये सिक्योरिटी बॉन्ड देना है, जिस भी बैंक के थ्रू वो चाहे, जिस भी एंटिटी के थ्रू एम्प्लॉयर चाहे, जिस फॉर्म में चाहे, जो फॉर्म लगा हुआ है उसमें चाहे, ये ड्यूटी है आपको देना, नहीं तो आपका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैलिड नहीं है। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट शैल डिलीवर परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी टू एम्प्लॉयर within 28 days after both parties have signed contract agreement. This security shall be issued by an entity and from within a country or other jurisdiction to which employer gives consent and shall be in form annexed to particular conditions or in whatever other form agreed by employer, but such consent or agreement shall not relieve contractor from any obligation under this provision. सिक्योरिटी देने से आप जिम्मेदारी से भाग नहीं सकते, जिम्मेदारी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर की ही रहेगी। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शैल एंश्योर Contractor shall ensure that performance security remains valid and enforceable until issue of performance certificate and contractor has complied with clearance of site. ये सिक्योरिटी बॉन्ड या परफॉर्मेंस बॉन्ड जब तक वैलिड रहेगा जब तक कि साइट पर काम पूरा ना हो जाए, परफॉर्मेंस सर्टिफिकेट ना मिल जाए और जब तक आप साइट को साफ ना कर दें, क्लियर ना कर दें, ये आपका बॉन्ड तब तक लीगली वैलिड रहेगा। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शैल इंश्योर दैट परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी रिमेन्स वैलिड एंड एनफोर्सेबल until issue of performance certificate and contractor has complied with clearance of site clause. If terms of performance security specify an expiry date, contractor has not become entitled to receive performance certificate by that date. 28 days before expiry date, contractor shall extend validity of performance security until issue of performance certificate and contractor has complied with clearance of site. अगर आपकी परफॉर्मेंस सर्टिफिकेट नहीं मिल पा रही है, आपकी जिस दिन ये सर्टिफिकेट, ये आपका जो बॉन्ड है, सिक्योरिटी है, उसके 28 दिन पहले तक आप कह सकते हैं, अगर आपका काम नहीं हुआ उसकी डेट से पहले, तो आपको उसकी एक्सटेंशन लेनी होगी। इससे अगर आपकी अथॉरिटी नहीं है, इफ़ टर्म्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी स्पेसिफाई एक्सपायरी डेट अगर उसमें है और आपके एंटाइटलमेंट नहीं बन रही है परफॉर्मेंस सर्टिफिकेट लेने की उस एक्सपायरी डेट से पहले 28 दिन पहले, तब आपको उसकी एक्सटेंशन करानी होगी परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी की। जब तक आपकी क्लियरेंस ना हो जाए, साइट साफ ना हो जाए, साइट आपको परफॉर्मेंस सर्टिफिकेट ना मिल जाए, ये उत्तरदायित्व कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का है। सेज इफ टर्म्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी specify an expiry date and contractor has not become entitled to receive performance certificate by that date 28 days before expiry date, contractor shall extend validity of performance security until issue of performance certificate and contractor has complied with clearance of site condition. Whenever variations or adjustments under variations and adjustment clause result in an accumulative increase or decrease of contract price by more than 20% of contract price stated in contract agreement, तब क्या होगा? Whenever variations or adjustments under clause variations and adjustments result in an accumulative increase or decrease of contract price by more than 20% of contract price stated in contract agreement, 20% से ज़्यादा वेरिएशन हो जाएं या एडजस्टमेंट हो जाएं 20% से ज़्यादा, तब क्या होगा? प्राइस इंक्रीज़ हुआ या डिक्रीज़ हुआ, उस बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। इन केस ऑफ सच एन इंक्रीज एट एम्प्लॉयर्स रिक्वेस्ट, इन केस ऑफ सच इंक्रीज, अगर 20% से बढ़ गई इंक्रीज एम्प्लॉयर की रिक्वेस्ट पर, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शैल प्रॉम्प्टली इंक्रीज अमाउंट ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी इन दैट करेंसी बाय ए परसेंटेज इक्वल टू एक्यूमुलेटिव इंक्रीज। इफ कॉन्ट्रैक्टर incurs cost as a result of employer's request, variation by instruction shall apply as if increase had been instructed by employer. अगर 20% से ज़्यादा कास्ट बढ़ जाती है एम्प्लॉयर की रिक्वेस्ट पे, तो उस सिक्योरिटी की वैल्यू को बढ़ाना होगा, सिक्योरिटी की वैल्यू को बढ़ाना होगा परसेंटेज के हिसाब से, और उस पर जो भी खर्चा आता है वेरिएशन बाय इंस्ट्रक्शन अप्लाई होगा एज इफ कि वो एम्प्लॉयर ने इंक्रीज कराया है। इन केस ऑफ सच डिक्रीज, अगर ये कम हो जाता है सब्जेक्ट टू एम्प्लॉयर्स प्रायर कंसेंट, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर में डिक्रीज अमाउंट ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी इन दैट करेंसी बाय ए परसेंटेज इक्वल टू एक्यूमुलेटिव डिक्रीज। उसी तरह से जिस तरह इंक्रीज था और यहाँ डिक्रीज होता है, तो आप सिक्योरिटी को डिक्रीज कराएं। अभी क्लेम्स कैसे दें परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी के? क्लेम्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी, employer shall not make a claim under performance security for amounts to which employer is entitled under contract in event of, employer इस क्लेम पर इस परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी पे दावा नहीं करेगा इन सर्कमस्टेंस के सिवाय जो हम बता रहे हैं, जिस अमाउंट का वो हकदार है उसके अलावा। एम्प्लॉयर शैल नॉट मेक ए क्लेम अंडर परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी एक्सेप्ट फॉर अमाउंट्स टू विच एम्प्लॉयर इज एंटाइटल्ड अंडर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इन इवेंट ऑफ। पहला इवेंट क्या है? फेलियर बाय कॉन्ट्रैक्टर टू एक्सटेंड वैलिडिटी, फेलियर बाय कॉन्ट्रैक्टर टू एक्सटेंड वैलिडिटी, Failure by contractor to extend validity of performance security, in which event employer may claim full amount, or in case of previous deductions, full remaining amount of performance security. Failure by contractor to extend वैलिडिटी ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी, अगर वो वैलिडिटी को बढ़ा के नहीं सका कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, तब क्लेम बनता है. फेलियर बाय कॉन्ट्रैक्टर टू एक्सटेंड वैलिडिटी ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी, इन विच इवेंट एम्प्लॉयर में क्लेम फुल अमाउंट, or in case of previous reductions, full remaining amount of performance security. Failure by contractor to pay employer an amount due as agreed or determined under agreement or determination, or agreed or decided under clause disputes and arbitration within 42 days after date of agreement or determination or decision or arbitral award, as case may be. Failure by contractor to pay employer an amount due as agreed or determined under agreement or arbitration, agreement or determination, or agreed or decided under clause 2(1) disputes and arbitration within 42 days after date of agreement or determination or decision or arbitral award. Yes, you can see now. Failure by contractor. Failure by contractor to pay employer an amount due as agreed or determined under agreement or determination, or agreed or decided under dispute and arbitration within 42 days after date of agreement or determination or decision or arbitral award, as case may be. Failure by contractor to remedy a default. Status in a notice given. Notice to correct within 42 days or other time if whatever stated in notice. Circumstances which entitle employer to terminate contract under termination for contractor's default, irrespective of whether a notice of termination has been given. It says circumstances which entitle employer to terminate contract under termination of contract's default, irrespective of whether a notice of termination has been given. If under remedying of defect work off site, contractor removes defective or damaged plant from site, contractor removes defective or damaged plant from site. Failure by contractor to repair such plant, return it to site, reinstall it and retest it by date of expiry of relevant duration stated in contractor's notice or other date agreed by employer. Employer shall indemnify and hold contractor harmless against and from all damages, losses and expenses, including legal fees and expenses resulting from a claim under performance security, to extent that employer was not entitled to make claim. Employer shall indemnify and hold contractor harmless against and from all damages, losses and expenses, including legal fees and expenses resulting from a claim under performance security, to extent that employer was not entitled to make claim. Any amount which is received by employer under performance security shall be taken into account. Any amount which is received by employer under performance security shall be taken into account in final payment of contractor. If contract is terminated, in payment due to contractor, payment after termination for contractor's default, payment after termination for employer's convenience, payment after termination by contractor, optional termination, release from performance under law, as case may be. An amount which is received by employer under performance security shall be taken into account in final payment to the contractor under final payment clause, or if contract is terminated, payment due to contractor under payment after termination for contractor's default, payment after termination for employer's convenience, payment after termination by contractor, optional termination, or release from performance under law.
क्या नाम होगा अरे हाँ इस पे तो कपड़ा मारना टूटी पड़ी है हाँ